Good morning. Hello.
Hello!
You ready to go?
Yes? I'm all packed.
It's literally the hangover.
Do you want things for hydration?
Good morning. How are you? Good. You?
Yeah, good. How are you guys?
Fine, how are you?
I saw you doing some dancing yesterday.
Hey, I was having fun.
Whatever was live, it was really good.
Yeah, amazing.
Joy is charging me. Conversation, sure. Yeah. Dancing.
A little bit of dancing, more conversations.
So thank you for the villa, Burak.
This is
Like
quite nice.
the setup is amazing, no?
Right, nice.
Yeah. So?
I can't believe, is that true that Esther asked for your notes after the interview?
Yeah?
She's such a rock star.
Ah no, but no.
You are such a rock star.
No,
It's
I'm
from-
not sure.
She prepared like a rock star.
You're so nice.
Because I was sending her like, Esther wants to know about a new idea. And she's dying to have different conversation. And then she went like Brené Brown podcast, all the podcasts. I think she loved it, no?
I think she enjoyed. Well, it was
Yeah.
a good moment.
How long did you manage?
No, they told me half an hour, no more. So, and I really wanted to respect that. I know I can push people, but I felt like I couldn't.
You had 1 hour?
Half an hour,
Half an hour.
30 minutes. But it's okay.
No
chit chat.
Huh?
Ouais. No, it was many themes. We talk about geopolitics and yeah. In fact, I asked them how can we apply the relationship. You know, she's talking about the loops.
Yeah.
And I asked her how can it apply to relationship between countries and how countries can reframe the story. And she was,
Oh, great question.
What?
And she answered that?
She answered that, yeah.
That's amazing.
Cool. Bon, I'm happy. Let's go.
So Rose is starting to be like Esther.
Yeah.
No time for bullshit, straight over the point.
Rose is a superstar.
Behind being the goddess, you are completely in a position of an extension of the experience of harvest with all the speakers. Did you get a good testimonial from Lynn Twist?
Yeah, she's mentioning at the beginning, I said, how did you enjoy? And she said like something super cool. Her first sentence in the podcast is about her experience at Harvest. And
Okay.
she loved Lynn. Well, guys,
So let's go. You have
Let's
to
go.
go. Is this okay to be in short?
Yeah. Neil is planning to have a very laid-back episode
Yeah.
called The Hangover. We're not supposed to be connected to our phones. And the guys are like...
No, but I'm reading the notes.
Okay.
The reason it's on.
Did you make it? Burak,
Almost with
I want you here
30
Okay.
seconds.
When is your flight?
at 3:50.
Podcast in a pyjama.
Yeah. Okay. Are we ready? Hello and thank you for watching the Harvest Series podcast. And I am with the two co-founders, Burak, Öymen and Carel. Hello.
How are you?
Rose.
How are you?
Nice to see you.
Hangover.
Hangover. You look a bit tired.
I'm trying to keep it together.
How was the party last night?
For me, it was like I've never stayed in a party in the last 20 years until 4 in the morning. And I've never had this many conversations in a party. So it was...
It's a first. So it was a good one.
Yeah.
Roman?
It was a state where I was fairly exhausted, but I really danced myself off to be not talking to anyone and to just be in my bubble and to let go from all the intensity of these 4 days.
Yeah, because during the event, you're like, every minute you're checking what's happening, if people are feeling comfortable, the music, the lineup. You're in constant vigilance of what's happening.
Yes, this
Yeah.
is all the team was crafting the ending of the day until midday yesterday, and it's organic. It goes, and everyone has an input, and I think that the team as a living organism is the one that creates the last minute changes that sometimes brings the magic. Sometimes it does brings chaos, but most of the time it brings magic. And we were on the qui vive, as we say, for all of that.
Yeah. Wow.
I thought the harvest team was at another level this year. It's you can see the evolution, the growth. I think it was the day before harvest started when Manon came up to me and she said, "Look, Burak, you don't have to worry about anything. Don't feel that you have the pressure to do anything, to introduce, speak. Just enjoy the program."
Okay, so
That was
you
a
have the feeling you
first.
enjoyed more than the previous years?
No, I was. I was still involved, but to hear that going into an event, and it just gives you so much confidence that the event is very well prepared, that the team really knows what they're doing, they're on top of things. This has been rehearsed, prepared, well thought through. All the pieces are in place. So, I mean, for us, if you think about Harvest 1, when we were sort of
You mean Fire Festival?
the first harvest that we did.
I call it the Fire Festival.
We were like, very much winging parts of it
Yeah.
to this, where there's so much structure, so much planning, and I just can't be prouder of our team, of Manon, of all the girls.
So it's much more organized and professional, but I guess everybody felt still a very organic and organic vibe. So how do you reconcile the two, like to be more and more professional, but also to feel relaxed and in a family environment?
Yeah, that's really interesting. Can I take this?
You.
Yeah. I was talking to a lot of people came up to me last night in the final party, and many people kept on saying something that was very similar. We've been to many events, we go to many events around the world, but this one is different. This one feels different, there's nothing else like this. This is like, what people were saying was that we don't feel an energy drain when we come here. We're not being sold anything, our energy's not being sucked. We don't find that in the crowd there are takers, but it's a crowd of givers. It's a very, it's a place where we feel safe and comfortable and we can let our hair down. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to sort of work that through my head. What is it that actually creates that? I think in part it boils down to a purity of intention. Right? Yeah. We're not trying to create something commercial here. We really are curious in the content. We're trying to be part of something that we would like to enjoy as members of the audience, that we would like to learn from, that we would like to grow. And I think that makes that helps a lot in creating that emotion for others as well. So it's almost like trying to create for ourselves and then sharing that with a broader group.
I want to mention to this, which is totally agreeable. It's also the container. You talk about safety, and the safety is how people feel, but the safety is also provided by the container. All this greenery, this place. It's just a very good container, and people actually have a very good interaction. So, and I'll go back to, we call the stage the village square. But in fact, I think this whole, in Portuguese we say gramado, but this grass just before the sea, where all the talks and so many interactions are happening, it's a fantastic village square. That's one thing that as a landscape has been extremely well done here, and the magic of all this land, it's just make us feel in a container. And that energy is a little bit of the intimacy of a wedding with this environment of the TED Talk, the barefoot TED Talk culture, to name what they have invented, and that we need to give credit to them. And the other thing is the multicultural crowd that is here, that is never too big of any group to be taking over. And so there is a need for curiosity, and everyone is the open-minded sort of culture forward. That's what we're seeing. And it's not like-minded people, it's open-minded people. And then when they put together, there is this organic conversation that gets crafted as the day passes by, whether it's through the talks, the practitioners, or just the simple interaction around the food, because that's also another thing, you know. The food is also made in a way that is celebratory and gathering and ritual. So it's we are on the land of ancestral Greece and ancestral Anatolia, and all of this put together creates a world. I think this energy is really felt in the land.
There was something that was interesting also. I heard from a lot of people that they learned from other participants, not only from the talks, not only from the practitioners, but there was an incredible sense of camaraderie, collaboration, willingness to share, willingness to gift. There was a swimming experience, right? Somebody didn't know how to swim, somebody else was teaching them how to swim.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, tell me the story about the swimming, like very moving story, no?
Yeah, I mean, one of our artists was wanting to learn how to swim, and another practitioner was also helping him in the sea, and so that moment was just very endearing and beautiful and organic. And I mention it because of the emotion around it, not because of the fact that it sounds cool to tell the story. It's just really like it was moving. It was really a moving moment, and that is what we saw. But it happens in so many different ways. Esther wanting to take Lex on her world tour. Esther, who came here with an approach of how she does work in the US context, and deciding organically that she would test the music she's created at the end of her Q&A, and bless us with a Q&A on the last minute as well. So there is a lot of generosity that gets unfolded throughout the event, through the humanity of the interaction, and that's the magic that happens at the harvest.
You're talking about moving moments. So can you share some of the highlights for you, emotional highlights?
Before we get this, I would like to change a little bit, and then we can come back to us. But you've been interviewing some of our speakers the whole time, and you're like on the front line of this conversation. You are the most, in fact, you are the best ambassador to Harvest for all the people that makes the magic.
Okay.
And you're listening to
now he's gonna embarrass me.
and then suddenly, you know, you have the most privileged moment of connection.
That's true.
Because you research them, and then you are right into their mind because you've studied them, and you've heard their voices, you've seen their media, and then suddenly you have it just for you. So you are in your own private school of life here. And I just want to ask you, like, rather than having us, you work at the podcast like on the front line. Were there any moving moments?
Oh, so many.
Give us one. Give us two. Give us three.
Okay.
We're hangover. We can't speak anymore.
Okay. So before you guys, it was Lynn Twist. She came, and so I asked her about the different chapters of her life, and she started when she became a woman, and after being freed from the conditioning of her life, and I just asked her what if she lacked love, because she's giving so much love. So I was trying to understand why it comes from, and I asked her if she liked love, if she lacked a bit of love in her life, and she said not at all. I was so happy. I had such a happy childhood. And then she's talking about the loss of her dear dad, who disappeared from a heart attack during the night when she was a teenager. It was such a surprise for all the family, and she had tears. And she's saying she always wants to make him proud. So I think that was a beautiful story. She also had like beautiful tears when she was talking about the humanity. Everybody has the humanity. And I'm very happy with the team because Joël and Carel are listening to everything here and absorbing. And Joël is, my partner on this podcast, is from Africa, living in Turkey, and is absorbing everything. And is making feedback, absolutely beautiful feedback. And he said he was very moved because he's coming from not a privileged background.
So tell us more about Joël. He's been editing as well?
Joël is editing all the podcasts. We're working all year long together.
So how long have you known each other?
It's been 3 years. Yeah, I'm not good at counting. 3 years. He's editing everything. He's giving feedback. He's so involved. And I think and he wanted to have a picture with Lynn. And Lynn said at some point, I met so many people, and I cannot say anymore that people are poor. They just have poor, Joël?
Circumstances.
Poor circumstances. People are not poor. They have poor circumstances.
What a beautiful sentence.
Yeah, it's a beautiful sentence. And
Wow.
Joël went straight to the heart of Joël. And so that was a good moment, a beautiful moment. And this is the last moment. So the closing was beautiful. We had a lot of people sharing with authenticity and sincerity their stories. I feel so privileged, and I think it's happening because it's here. It's people are living an amazing experience, authentic experience. So I think it's very different when you interview someone on Zoom or even, I would say, in a normal city, in a normal context. But here, because they've been listening to amazing talks, they've been talking to each other, then when they're here, they're completely ready to open.
They're transcended.
Yeah, they're transcended. We got a lot of tears, Joël? We got a lot of tears, a lot of emotion. The Wim sisters who talked also about the loss of their mom when they were 8 years old, and how their dad learned to deal with pain with the ice, and to be able to give them more joy to their children, because he was raising them alone, and so he was dealing with the pain in the ice, and then give the joy to the children. So we had like so many beautiful stories, and I'm very grateful.
Especially on the Hangover.
All these people have a mission, and they want to give, and they want to share, and they want to help humanity, and it's really beautiful. And I'm very grateful to you for putting me in this villa in such a beautiful setup.
And how this villa has impacted the interview versus the other edition. Now it's chapter 8. I think you're going to be releasing 15 episodes. You've been recording 15 episodes. And in what way?
You're number 18.
We're
18? 18. Yeah, 18 in 4 days.
18 in 4 days.
Yeah.
So my question is what do you think? We've had an incredible success, right? You are part of the 5% best podcast in the world, at least on Spotify. We have an incredible amount of, hundreds of thousands of auditors. And we've had a learning curve of how we've edited this podcast. And now it's Harvest chapter 8. And what do you think from the content to the editing can be added for this series?
The podcast.
Is there anything you would do differently than what you
for the next
season?
For the next season. So super happy to have Neil on board. He's been helping so much. He has a supervision of the podcast, because we're talking about Village Square. Burak, during Harvest at Coco in London, you had the idea to make a round table with Howard Covington and Wade Davis. The episode is just going to be out probably next week. And it was not so easy to organize. And because I think, probably they were a bit, they preferred to do the podcast episode on their own, both of them. And the magic of it was the episode. You need to listen to the episode. They're asking each other questions. They're asking tips. Wade is asking tips to Howard, so how to deal with the government of Colombia. And this is a beautiful thing. And I think maybe we should organize more roundtables and collaboration with the guests.
That's in the note.
Yeah.
And then, as I said, we have amazing progress from our podcast. And that was an idea for us to give back from the village square and beam the positive ideas and intentions that comes out.
Yeah.
You know, this heart-led programming that we are trying to compose together. And so my question is to you, how do you prepare for the power that this postcard represents when we know that here we every time transform 350 people, but that we diffuse all these ideas outward through the podcast, and it's you behind that creates this, and Joël.
Yeah, I feel quite like a mission of service in a way, because everybody who's here is super privileged. They enjoy the parties, they have the time of their life, but not everybody can find time or the money to come to a beautiful retreat like in Kaplankaya. And that's a place where so beautiful things are being shared, ideas, and the speakers, the lineup is absolutely beautiful. People are in a good place to share, and I'm very honored to be able to share this with people from all over the world, because I think one nice thing of the podcast is you have, I can see where geographically it's being listened to, and it's all over the world, and that's, you have people in Africa, people in the Philippines, people in the US, UK of course, but everywhere in Europe and in the world. And so this is really cool to be able to share Esther Perel's story or Lynn Twist. So it's really, I'm trying to make the best, to share the story in the best possible way. So yeah. Has
anyone fallen in love with your French accent and commented about this? I just wanted to know if you what?
No, I promised myself I would never work in English, Roman, and you made me change.
No means not that you know. It doesn't mean no. Right?
Yeah. And I'm trying to work on my accent, but it's not.
I think you should leave it just as it is. It's got so much character.
Wow, I left 10 years in London, so if it had to improve, it would have been done.
Do you dress differently when you're interviewing people? Do you prepare?
Yeah, I prepare
a lot.
I prepare a lot. I should. Yeah, this is my preparation for.
No, that's notes. But I'm asking, like every day you come here. I mean, it's like you're in your studio. I mean, I'm dressed like a beach bum. Today, it's a hangover after all. But you are always on spot, as if we were on a news channel.
Yeah.
And I wonder what's going on in the background.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll be very honest with you, because I need 20 outfits. So I've got 2 huge suitcases in the in the villa. So
you actually
go
an incredible amount of preparation goes into this.
It's a little bit of preparation. Yeah, it's just
you're very humble about it, but
no, it's just to be ready on time.
You prepare
mentally. Yeah,
also,
I stopped drinking way before the event.
Yeah,
I do gym. I want to be super available, because you need, when you do 4 interviews in a row with huge stars, and I didn't really have time to read their book. And I mean, usually when you're interviewing people, the way I would do it is I would read the book, all the books, I would read resume, but I come with a genuine curiosity, because I don't have time to know so much. And
there's a lot of content. Right?
It's a lot of content, and they're big stars.
Time,
exactly, and they're big stars. The lineup is beautiful, different topics. We have relationships. We have Bruce Demer. I was very. It was one of the last interviews, and I was like, "Wow, he's a scientist. He's going to talk to me about the origins of the world." It's quite challenging, and he made it easy. Honestly, he made it super easy for me, and being really passionate about sharing it to someone. And I told him to explain it like he would do to a 9-year-old, and that's what he did. Yeah.
And the spectrum of topics is so broad, right? So you're going from science, the origin of life.
Yeah. That's harvest. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. To relationships.
Yeah. Yeah.
to the state of the world.
Yeah.
It's a very, very broad spectrum.
From podcast first, where you were thrown in the lion's den, to podcast 80 something. How much of an evolution have you had personally through the content you've absorbed?
What a question for a Sunday morning.
This is the hangover nail.
Oh
Bam!
gosh, after the party, because I released everything yesterday night. Such a transformation. I think, and it goes very well with kind of a midlife crisis, like it was time to go to harvest.
By the way, I think it's a general thing. It's a midlife crisis.
It's a midlife crisis.
We all had it. I'm not sure it's finished for me, but
Such an evolution, because I arrived at harvest because you asked me, but I come from like a very serious background, like you guys, a long time ago, and where I was working as a journalist for radio, economic radio, Bloomberg TV. I was doing clubs, personal development clubs for CEO in Asia, and so my questions are usually more about were more about the revenues and the income and the margins. And so my first interview with Gabor Mate was quite something. I think I discovered what was a trauma. I didn't even know. I was telling Neil, I think I cut the sentence from the episode because I was so ashamed. I was so lost, and I asked him like, but how do we know who we are? I was completely lost during an episode, and he was very kind and not judgmental at all. But so then this is happening, and I was thinking, oh, these people are asking like serious questions in life, and I thought I would protect myself a little bit from this during the first season, and I would keep my mind clear. And then first you prepare, as you said, so you do a lot of research, then you have the interview, which is something like goes straight in your heart a little bit more, and then I'm listening and listening because I'm editing with the team. So the content of what they say is really, it's like reading a book 4 times. It's a bit different than just listening to something. And for the memory and for integration, it's quite powerful. So I wouldn't say like I change each time I make an interview, but maybe one sentence resonates with me, the sentence I was ready to listen and speaking to me, and speaking to Dr. Shefali, to Gabor Mate, to so many people, yes, of course, definitely. And I really leave it like a journey, like a book, my own book also. So I'm not trying to make interviews for myself and to answer my own questions. I'm always thinking about the others. But in a way, it's really, having an impact, a real impact on me. And I could say I was very good to put the things under the carpet and move on with my life and not thinking too much about the self. I'm still trying not to think too much about the self, but I'm opening a door to that. And and so I would say I'm much more open to conversation, to check, to see the truth, and it changed me. I would say it changed me, and maybe to love a bit myself more, or to open to consider this. Yeah, so it's been a journey for me. Yeah,
it's very beautiful.
What's the next chapter for Harvest?
The next edition, you mean? What we're going to do next year?
Yeah, next year, or your vision on the long term. Like next year for sure, and on the long term, where do you want to go?
We haven't even had a chance to talk about that yet.
Well, we know the theme is Radical Courage on 14th of May to the 18th of May 2025.
Okay. So that's a scoop.
And so we're going to go and dig what are the people who are showing radical courage. Denis would have been a great guy, the guy who went from Uganda and crossed all the way to the UK to live as a homeless and became a model and then started a whole school system. But so it's going to be about crafting the programming around that, but also about the self, the society and the planet, and try to see where are the area where we can find champions that will blow people's mind and create more of a daring culture after Harvest 9. So how do you bring all these people again? It's 350, and then you have people who are just going to crack their old way of doing things. And yes, I thought that on Friday night, Mathilde, who had been an attendee, who had turned as a violinist during the dinner, who had had a moment of epiphany and said, oh my God, I made it. I'm never going to let my creativity be influenced by insecurity, or if I do, I will have a way to bounce from that. And then this year, she offered us an incredible concert where she had been daring to mix, how do you call this? It's piano, and then there is the synthesizer, sorry, piano and synthesizer and violin and voice.
Wow. Okay.
And so the girl had created a show which was based from, she had courage, she had daring, but imagine if we were doing this at the scale of the 350 people. And it's not about just the self, but it's about what can you do and what you can give back and creating this sense of purpose. And that will be a very exciting chapter 9. I'm super excited about looking at these champions and, you know.
One of the feedbacks I received speaking to some of the people this week was radical is too hard of a word. Why radical? Why not connection? Why can we just not? Why do we have to be radical about anything? So the explanation I tried to give them was that radical hope, which was the previous Harvest 7's theme, is actually a researched scientific term. It refers to hope in the face of massive despair. When there seems like there is no way out, that you create, you maintain hope. And you maintain that belief that things are going to be okay. So radical connection was actually a bit of a play of words. Radical connection is not a scientific term. It's something that we brought together ourselves. And it follows on the radical hope concept.
Yeah, but in the context of radical disconnection in the geopolitical world.
Exactly. So although it's not a scientific term, it's the disconnectedness of people seems to be so severe, so serious, so deep. The true disconnectedness. I'm not referring to. We're all connected through digital devices. We're connected through social media or whatever. But is that really connection? Right? Is that really connection? So when we go radical connection in this case, what we're really talking about is true, real, personal connection, in person, with presence, with focus, with intention, and that was the whole arc of the journey that we were on over the last 4 days.
Yeah.
So that's why the radical there. And then next year, to continue on the radical theme, we want to explore courage, right? That's what we've been talking about. And so since this is the radical series, radical courage, we still have some thinking to do and a lot of curation to do on radical courage.
And it's just starting, so the process is nice. It's actually at the end of the overall experience, you have a bit of anxiety. I was like, how are we going to come with the programming for next year?
Yeah.
Like there is this
white page.
No, but immediately.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel it. Do you feel it as well? For me, it's like on the day it's finished, it starts to. How can we do better for next year? Like I completely have this immediately. Like I was dancing last night and I was just like thinking about it. It hit me. So I have this, and
I had quite a bit of feedback over the last 24 hours, particularly last night.
Yeah.
I seem to be the magnet for people who wanted to share on how to contribute to make the event better, what we could do differently, and
by that time I'm just dancing and saying bye.
See, if I was a good dancer as you, I'd be on a dance
floor. You are a good dancer.
That's why kids,
by the way,
parents teach your kids how to dance. Otherwise, at the end of a 4-day event like this, you're going to be the one bombarded with all the feedback. I know. I'm honestly, I'm grateful for all the feedback. It was fantastic feedback. There's a lot there. A lot that we need to talk about. What that showed me first and foremost was that people really care. There was an incredible sense of ownership from speakers, participants, practitioners to the concept of harvest. They really took it as their own, and they wanted to make their own contribution, share their observations to help us get better, to make this an even more special experience. So I can't be grateful enough.
And what's the importance of a harvest in your life, both of you?
Oh my God, this is a question. Do you have 20 minutes?
For Roman, and then another 20 for me.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's been, yeah, we can carry on. But go ahead. First of all, I would like to say that from Harvest 1 to Harvest 8, you've become a great dancer.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it's still work in progress.
And you are like, you are seriously now contagious when you are dancing. You are.
That might be the greatest dancing compliment I've ever received. That's beautiful. So, how does harvest affect us? I mean, look, if you go, I listen to your podcasts. I listen to your podcast when I'm walking in Prague, and this 28-minute format is perfect for me because it's exactly the amount of time it takes for me to leave my home and walk downtown. I walk through a beautiful park, and it's a moment for myself. Typically, I will have listened to the talk of the speaker that I'm listening to on your interview, and I will get an incredible amount from the interview in addition to the talk, and differently from the talk. And it'll ignite thoughts. It puts me in a state of contemplation. And I draw parallels from what I've heard to my life and to what's going on in my life. If the subject matter is, let's say, Wade talking about Colombia and preservation and restoration of nature, my mind goes to the region that I'm from here in Turkey, in the Aegean, and I sort of draw ideas from that. If it's about personal growth and personal development, understanding how the psyche works, understanding how our emotions work, it almost seems like I'm taking these little bits and pieces and adding them to my toolbox. So when I go through an emotional roller coaster, as we all do from time to time, first of all, I can recognize that I'm going through an emotional roller coaster. I can identify it as such, and I can tell myself, look, nothing's really happening. Whatever is happening inside your head. So give it time, don't act on anything, be patient with it. And then in that toolbox there are practices. For instance, what Andrew Weil just shared with us, that breathing technique, the 4-7-8. Do that 4 times, once an hour. That'll settle down any anxiety you might have, anything that might trigger anxiety. A very simple example. To much deeper things. Trauma-related work, or understanding where at the root of our behaviors, at the root of my own behavioral pattern, what lies at the root of my behavioral pattern. So the gift of harvest for me is one of getting to know myself better, one of growth, one of trying to make sense of the world around me, and I think that these series of 8 editions that we've done, these incredible minds, incredible wisdom keepers, gifted practitioners that we've been exposed to, has given me so much.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you, Roman?
First of all, I echo totally what Burak has said. And I think it's the same fundamental with maybe exactly the same fundamental. As I want to be straight to the point, I think there is a lot of personal healing wish for personal healing that is the result of harvest in my life. And harvest has been a conduit of an maybe unconscious or conscious way to want to transcend that, and I still have a lot of work to do, and I see it. The more I do harvest, the more I see oh my God, there is a door to crack here. And Harvest has showed me many doors, and I feel grateful that this is a tutoring partner in my life to be better human and not transmitting to my own kid some of the stuff that I wouldn't have washed away.
Yeah.
And this is really the gift. And I loved our talk. One of our talk today, they had thrown me into the thing. I wasn't expecting it would start like this, and that's the beauty of Harvest, how we organize it. Sometimes it's a little bit last minute. But we talked about this, how to be a good ancestor. And we were the three of us with our good friend, Alexander Asseli, who has been portraying the work of his mother. And just that seems to be the backbone of why we do Harvest. Is really like, how do we look back and say, we've done something to try to help friends and the friends of the friends, and through the podcast, and that's why you're so pivotal, more people. And maybe you are asking and mixing everything together, what is the vision of Harvest? Is just to continue that work and find the conduits for the extension of that capacity to propagate these positive ideas, and how it will transform maybe more connectedness in the people that have been coming here over the many years we've been doing it. Maybe we're launching the magazine this year, which is supposed to be
good news. Yeah, fabulous news.
And I love what Burak said. For example, he said, we will put this magazine in every bedroom, in every houses, and we'll send it to every audience and to every talent, and it becomes a collectible. It's just like a book that is on the table that is staring at you when you come back home, and you're like, I kind of feel I have to. I know it's old ways, but it's still like hard ways in a world of digital everything. Suddenly you have a hard copy at home. So I think from this will arise more thinking. But and I also want to say the vision is a collectively crafted vision, like the programming. And there is a lot of inquiry to be having for us to take it. But it's in process. And one of the beautiful things started with friendship, because I really like this man. And the journey of Burak and the journey of friendship, but also the work behind it, has been making us grow as friends, as colleagues, and we realize that we are having some impact. And you know what? Before that, my work was really not necessarily as impactful. It was answering different needs. It was answering maybe an inherited formula. So I think, just to go back to the core of the question and conclude on this, I've had a dysfunctional family, mother, and I found Harvest very mothering. And that's the gift.
Beautiful. Thank you, Burak and Roman, for coming on a Sunday morning with your bottles of water and after dancing all night or talking all night.
Thank you, Rose.
What a great party it was. What a great summit. It was well done, and thanks for including me in your beautiful journey. So
we thank you very much.
Reciprocal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.